Welcome back, everybody. Brian Calfano, along with our Ozarks First contributors, Nick Reed, who's over at KSGF 1041, and Amy Blancett, who is the head of the Drew Lewis Foundation. Again, both are Ozarks First contributors. Nick, got to start with you. Our Republican President Donald Trump blew American federalism to smithereens this week with his statement that he has total control over what happens with the governors. Only Rand Paul of Kentucky and Liz Cheney of Wyoming seem to be pushing back on that notion. The Tea Party, which had been very vociferous against the former president and his view of federalism, and they didn't say anything about President Trump. So, Nick, is it that the governors now are the true stalwarts of what used to be American federalism? What do you say?
We have spent weeks having the fingers pointed by governors to Trump. Everything was his fault because he's the one in charge. The president needs to do this. As a state, we demand the president, he's in charge, give us this. The president needs to stop people from doing that. He needs to mandate. So there were all of these calls by all of these governors for Trump to grab control of this thing. Now, all of a sudden, when he says, okay, I'm going to potentially tell you, you have to allow your citizens to get back out there, they're screaming dictator. Well, wait a minute here. That's what you've been saying you wanted all along. So it's just a matter of what is convenient for my argument at the time. And again, all sides will do it. But this ludicrous notion that, all of a sudden the states want to have authority over what happens with the coronavirus. Oh, where have you been all this time? Are you kidding me?
I guess, Nick, at least on the bright side, you've got both sides now talking about appropriate constitutional bounds and what federalism should mean.
I find a degree of humor in this, that there's even a discussion of constitutionality or who's really in charge. I'm a person who really, truly loves the formulation of the country and the reason behind that formulation, because I think it's one of the most fascinating things that's ever been done since the beginning of mankind. And it's not just the philosophy that people have human rights because we are human beings and endowed upon us by our Creator, but that was actually implemented. That being said, I have over the years really come to understand that we don't abide by that any longer. That we don't live in that world. We have a paper document called the Constitution that gets referenced when a person feels that it validates their perspective. But a vast majority of the time, it's totally irrelevant. And this does go to both parties. Now, Republicans generally are on the side of issues that do have the backing of the Constitution: Second Amendment, First Amendment, in a number of capacities. So you do hear them talk more about the constitutionality of it. But when it comes to role of government stuff, we are so far removed from how we were intended to be.
But there is a role for the federal government, of course.
There does need to be, in certain instances, this entity that allows us to pool our powers. I kind of think of it as a Voltron. I don't know if you watched Voltron as a kid. You had these independent lions, robots that acted on their own, but every once in a while, they recognize they need this full coordinated effort that they all gave permission collectively to be part of. And so when it came to a few things, particularly, having to defend ourselves against foreign enemies and just a very few other things, it was determined, all right, the states are going to come together and create this federal government for those few purposes only. Ultimately, the states were going to be so autonomous from one another. They would have their own laws. They would almost be separate countries, really.
All right, Amy, I know you've been over there chomping at the bit. Your take on President Trump and his view from earlier this week about having total control.
So one of my greatest concerns is that our president just quoted Mutiny on the Bounty. It's a book, which apparently he watched the movie because the book would take too long, and I don't know, maybe it was the Cliff's Notes. But that book is about an individual who has all power, basically is an absolute in tyranny, and the individuals have to rise up because he is just does not have the best interest for all. So for him to be thinking that's his favorite movie, it's concerning that we have the leader of our country really exemplifying what he's doing and not afraid to put it out in social media, that is what he believes and that's his favorite thing. What's also concerning is that it seems that within our government and the positions that many have, is that we've forgotten about justice and liberty, the really important part at the end, for all. So apparently that hanging for all has just, been removed from many people's ideas and beliefs whenever they're going and determining what laws are being made.
Well, Amy, you're out there in the community doing a lot of important work. Your take on where government is in all of this, and is it helping? Is it just not there? What's your take?
So again, an area that I believe that Nick and I might agree on is government's not going to do it. Right. They're proving to us time and time again that us in Springfield, Missouri, we're not on the radar, right? We're not the for all part of our Constitution. So we've got to do it locally. We've got to take care of what we need for the individuals, for our neighbors. A lot of people say, well, my brother is not my keeper, and this whole thing of, am I supposed to take care of others? But it really is about, we've got to worry about what's happening to our neighbor right now when everything that's going on with COVID. So when we talk about what's going on local, it's been amazing to see companies that right now are also struggling, realizing that their employees are struggling more and they could be lining their pockets, but instead they're reaching out to nonprofits, they're reaching out to their employees, and they are figuring out what they personally can do for all. And so it's really promising to see locally that, what's happening in Washington, D.C., fine, let them do their tyrannical stuff there. But here in Springfield, we're going to take care of our neighbors. We're going to do what's right. And the companies that are stepping up here in Springfield, they deserve kudos for what they're doing because they don't have to do it. The government isn't forcing them to do it. And that's when, the stars really start to shine on who cares and who's a good employer.
All right, Nick Reed and Amy Blancett, we got to leave it there. Helpful and insightful as always. And folks, we'll be back after this.